coming in the heat and the sun, and yet they are still energetic. I don't know about the teachers though. Brother Santu is sweating and he's been alone singing, and the rest also have been doing all sorts of different kinds of activities. And we had a very nice time with our children, and we really enjoyed it. It's taxing, but we enjoyed it, and we came to have like just like our team is here, connection. We came to have some connections, and I think very few of them are here today. Very few of them are here today. Maybe only those who are presenting were here today. But we had this half of this filled. I don't know how much is the exact number. I think more than 130. More than 130. And we were supposed to like break the ceiling through our shouting, but we could not finally. So maybe next year, we will be hoping for the next year. So I brought today the same thing since it is VBS week and the week that is going with us. So I'm trying to preach today from Ephesians chapter 6, verse 1 through to 4. And it's a very common passage. It's a very common passage with the children also being here. I would like to address them also. And along with that, we would like to study the word and try to understand. Shall we read? Ephesians chapter 6, verses 1 through to 4. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. This is, it has been quoted from Deuteronomy chapter 5 and 16. And also we have the same commandment in Exodus 20 and verse 12, where we are told to honor our father and our mother. And when we say father and mother, I would also like to say that our guardians, actually, our guardians, not confining it only to father and mother, but maybe even elder brother, elder sister, or aunties and aunts, uncles. And it would be wise to take it to anyone who is in charge of us or responsible for us. The church is built on relationships, actually. Sometimes our relationship with our children are automatic. They are our children, so we are related. Whether we want, we don't want, most of the time we want it. And we love to have that relationship. But we can also build relationships, not just like having a blood relationship, but we can have relationship also. We can build relationships. Just like today, we have many children here who have come and have enjoyed and had their time of fun. And now they have been related to this church, and we can be their mentor, we can be their parents, or we can be their guardians. We can be their guardians. But the word is relationship. The word is relationship, so that we have that relationship. And today, even as we speak about children, it is all about that our young hearts, the young bubbling hearts that are there with us, and that are there, we have to shepherd them very carefully and tenderly. I think this is what Paul is writing to the Ephesians, saying that even as children have their own duty to obey the parents, so also the parents have our duty to reciprocate to them with tenderness and with love. With tenderness. The Bible also tells us that love covers a multitude of sins. Love covers a multitude of sins. And maybe our children will be mischievous. They are children after all. They are children after all. And then we know children do not listen to anybody. They do not listen. They just want to do what they want to do, or what comes to their mind at that time. So it is a relationship that can be built. But first of all, it is the duty of the children to obey their parents. When we say, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. And Paul takes this not only on the human relationship level, but he takes it up to the level of God, the divine level. He said that children, obey your parents in the Lord, not just because they are your parents. Of course, it is due of the children to obey their parents. But more than that, it would be more meaningful, more enjoyable, more solid, more foundational if we obey our Lord, if we obey our parents in the Lord. Because our final Father in heaven is God. And when we obey God, it is our duty to obey our parents on earth because they're responsible for us. And God has given them as responsibility, us to them. We are all children. We are all children. And we all have been children and we are all still children. Many of us, many of our parents may not be living, many of our parents may be yet living, but we are all children. And we also tend to do all those childish things many times. Even though we may be parents to our children, but we are still children to our parents. We are still children to our parents. My mother, even now, she says, even I'm going to be 50, and still she says that, you may think you are old enough, but you are still children to me. She scolds me. And I love her for that. I accept it. I love her for that. I can still beat you. I can still correct you. I can still scold you. She has that authority, that God-given authority that she wants to use and utilize it. And that's good for us. So we as children must remember that parents are God-given responsibility towards us so that they can guide us. But a great danger is sometimes we may win the argument with children, or we may force our argument with our children, but sometimes we may lose their heart. Sometimes we may lose their heart. Sometimes we are annoyed with them. They may be asking silly questions, sometimes repeated questions, sometimes meaningless, sometimes we feel idiotic questions. But they are children and they want to understand, they want to know it. They just want, sometimes they want to be like confirmed, affirmed again. And so they continue to ask that question again and again. And many times when they want things, they would continue to pester the parents, I want this, even to the point of throwing tantrums. So for the children, I would like to say that, see, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. It is right, actually. It is universal right when you obey your parents. It is universal right when you obey your parents. It is not just from the Bible. It is everywhere that the people will teach and the parents will teach that you should obey your parents. And some religion and some society even go to the extent of saying that parents are their gods. Parents are the gods. Parents are the gods. The Bible doesn't say that parents are gods. They are also human beings. They are also prone to make mistakes. They are not gods. But it is true that they are God-given authority. They are God-given responsibility to the parents. So when we say obey your parents, children must learn, not just small children, but even we, adult children also, old children also. We must learn that we are children of God. And God gives us instructions. God teaches us. God disciplines us. And God tells us. And that commandment is there even for us, that we should obey. When we say the word obey, what does the world think about obedience? Well, I was searching and one person has said that obedience means what? It means, first of all, to listen attentively. To listen attentively. To hear what all is being said. Sometimes we ignore or sometimes we have half-heartedness to listen to our parents, to listen to. Sometimes they may repeat the same thing that has been said already. And so we think that we already know. We already know. And so we said, yes, I know already. Yes, I have heard already. But actually it's our parents, our elderly parents are not telling the thing that they are telling. Actually, they are telling some other thing. They're telling some other thing. These days, It's a very big thing, I think, even among the social media also, to post for parents and all those. Sometimes it comes, I watch, and then sometimes, our elderly parents are not asking things, even if they are saying that I need this, I need that. But actually, what they're asking is our attention to them, our attention to them, our presence with them, our care for them, our concern for them, our concern for them. So when we say that children, obey your parents, listen attentively, to respond submissively, and to act accordingly. Somebody has said this, and I believe that this is very right. To listen attentively, to respond submissively, and to act accordingly. Many times our parents may ask us so many things. It's not the thing that is important for them, but our presence, our relationship with them, our contact with them, our connection with them, or our concern for them. It's been long since I've talked to my mother, of course. I'm guilty of that too. I think it's been this more than 1.5 weeks. So I would ask our young minds also, the young people also, to please keep contact. To obey your parents means to listen to them. Even though you may know what they are already saying it, or it may be that they are saying it repeatedly, but it means to listen to it and to respond submissively and likewise do the things, act accordingly. Parents, who are our parents? It's not only mother and father. We are very fortunate of all of those who have our mother and father. But sometimes even our elder brothers become our parents. Sometimes our sisters, sometimes our aunts who care for us, who are concerned for us, who are responsible for us. So parents, because in my part of the village, many times people say that, this is my child. Who are you to come and interfere in this? At one time, there used to be in my village an elder brother who was the first person to pass his matriculation. And he would go around the village taking care of the little children. Like he would care for them, saying that, did you study today? Have you done your lesson today? Have you gone to school? He would do that. But some parents became annoyed with him because they thought that he was interfering in their problems. It is my child. Why should he be the one taking task of my children, whether they go to school or they don't go to school? Sometimes he would scold them. But finally, because of those kind of response, finally he gave up. He gave up. In the 8 to 10 years that he had taken care of, the children were improving actually. They were improving. They were going to school regularly. They were improving. But after the 8 to 10 years of his care, when people started reacting in that way, they started saying so many things. And so he also, as a human being, he also felt it hurt him. And so finally he gave up doing that. And slowly, the children started becoming more and more rude. They started becoming more and more indisciplined. They started loitering around the villages. And then finally, there is a time, right now also, many few children go to school. Many few children go to school. So from that experience, I want to tell all of our children that it is not only mother and father that those are your guardians, but it may be an elderly brother who is caring for you. Anyone who is responsible for you, anyone who loves you and cares and does things that are good for you are your parents, are your guardians, are your mother and father. They are doing the fatherly duty. They are doing the motherly duty. So we are to obey them. We are to listen to them. We are to act submissively to them and act accordingly. So that we, as the Bible promises us, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. And honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment, with a promise. With a promise. And the promise says that you will live long on this earth. You would live long on this earth. This promise is a wisdom statement. It is not a statement saying that anyone who obeys their parents will automatically live long, but it is a general promise saying that if you obey your parents and your mother and father, you will not be doing all those mischievous things, and finally, upgrade to those notorious things, and finally would be doing some things which are unlawful, and finally would end up having a problem with the government. And so next question, the next statement that he makes is that honor your father and your mother. Honor your father and your mother. Obedience may be to a certain extent. In India, our obedience to our parents and our subjection to our parents may continue to grow, may continue to be even till our old age also. As long as we have our parents, that practice is there, or that feeling that that is there. But in some other parts of the country, when the children are up to age, or when they have their own jobs, or when they have their own, when they can take care of their own, then they are like, yes, they still obey, not that they don't obey, but their obedience is not as much as what we do in India. So obedience may be till you mature, or till for a certain time. But honor is lifelong. Honor is lifelong. We may not run our family, we may not run our children, we may not teach our children, and we may not have our parents parenting our children directly. Because we have our own children now, we are own responsible now, we are the parents now. So it is our responsibility. We may go on doing that. But honor for our parents, even though they are old, even though they are weak, even though they may be helpless in those times, honor is still due to them. My father would always say, position you can attain, education you can learn, post maybe you can, but age you can never do it by yourself. Because it is God who has given you that birth at that time. It may be just one day older than one person, but that is what God has given us. That is what God has given. So our parents or our brothers who are elder to us, maybe just one day, we ought to honor that person and that age. We ought to honor them. We ought to honor them. We ought to give that due honor to them. It may be just one day, it may be just 1 month, it may be just 1 year, but we ought to honor that. So that's why obedience may be for a certain time, but honor is lifelong. We ought to honor them. And many of our parents, many of us in India, we also honor them and keep them lifelong. Some of them even have lifelong remembrance celebrations that they have in India. So that's a good thing that we should learn, and our children should learn that. Honor your father and your mother, which is the first commandment with promise. This is the first commandment with promise. Shall we read from Deuteronomy 5 and 16? Honor thy father and thy mother as the Lord thy God had commanded thee, that thy days may be prolonged, that it may go well with thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. See, so this concept or this teaching and this commandment is not just in New Testament. It is from lifelong time. It has been right from the time when God was giving this commandment to the Hebrews and to the Jews, that when you go to the land that is so good, what the Lord is giving us, what the Lord is giving them, you should honor your father and your mother. You may be as successful, you may be a very more successful than our parents, but yet they are to be honored. And this same theme goes in Exodus 20 verse 12. Here also in the 10 commandments, what he says, that honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. It is the same. In the Old Testament and the New Testament, honoring father and mother is non-negotiable. It is there right from the very old times till now, and it should be there till the very end of this world. We should honor. not just in our life. And we ought to teach this also. We ought to teach this also to our children, that they would honor their father and their mother. And this promise that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. This is a promise. This is a promise that God will do all his part. If you honor your father and mother, he will do. He will favor your life. He will give you extra blessings, that you will live long on this earth. How are we to honor our parents? There are many ways by which to honor our parents. Obedience, okay, everything that they say we obey. But how are we to honor them? Number one, I would like to share just few things. Esteem them. Esteem them. Always look up to them, saying that they are more than you. They are more than you. They are given by God to you. They are given by God to us. We have to esteem them. They may be less educated. They may be low in positions. They may be less sophisticated. They may know less things. They may not know technologies. They may not know many things. And yet, we should esteem them as our parent. Those who walk this earth before us. There's a saying in Garo, even before all this education and all those came, that we walk this earth before you. There is a saying in Garo. We know the land. We hunted this area. We have hunted here. We know this land. So we know better than you. You should know. You should learn from us. We should esteem them as they know this land. They have lived this life. They have gone through these sacrifices. They have gone through these experiences. They have gone through all these troubles. They have weathered even through all of this, what the world can offer them. They have gone through this. Let's esteem them. Let's look up to them. Let's value them. Let's value them. Let's value them. Just for their very presence and just because God has given them to us. We ought to be grateful to them. Grateful to them. There will certainly be things which we learn from our parents. Even though how uneducated they may be, even though how unsophisticated they may be, there must be something that we learn from our parents. There must be something that we learn from our parents. Definitely. There will be. There will be. Let us be grateful to them. They have sacrificed. I have seen my own father also. When I was in school, he would not wear a first-hand cloth anytime. He would not wear a first-hand cloth. He would always wear a second-hand pant and shirt. He would always wear a second-hand pant and shirt. Only when we grew up and when we started less more expenditure in the home, then he started wearing a stitched one or a tailored clothes, dresses. He started wearing it. We must have learned something from our parents. They must have nurtured us, so we should be grateful to them. They may be less sophisticated, less educated. They may know less than us. We must be, but because God has put them as parents, God has put them as fathers and mothers, we must. And I think last Sunday I told, my mother taught me how to write in Bengali. And in Bengali, 4 is the 8 in English. I couldn't write that. And she was teaching me. She went to the school only till class 3. She went to school only till class 3. After class 3, she couldn't go to school anymore because riots happened and so many things happened, closed. But what she learned very well. So she was teaching me how to write. And so as I was learning to write that, one of my cousin brother, he taught me, he said, you don't know how to write 4 also. I mean in Bengali 4, no? Char. You just put one circle here, another circle here. It becomes 4. And what I did was, I put one circle here far and another circle here far. It never became 4. Just remained 0, no? So he said, no, Buddhu. You should join it. You should connect it. And what I did was, I drew a line from one circle to another line. And what did it become? A dumbbell it became. And finally, my mother was so angry. He told you to join it, right? Now, both the circle together, join it and write it. And so I made it a dumbbell. At that time, dumbbell, we don't know what is dumbbell also. What is this? And she gave me very good, nice beating on, caning on my hand, on my fingers. Now, and I learned that. And I learned how to write 8, how to learn how to write 4 in Bengali. We must have learned something from our parents. We definitely. That's why we should be grateful. Even that for that one lesson that she has taught us, we ought to be grateful to our parents. We ought to esteem them in our speech. Many times we take for granted our parents. Many times we take for granted our parents. We do not want to esteem them through our speech, with our language, with the words that we use them. There is one of my cousin from small, he never could call his father father. In Bengali, they would say Amrar Gorer Bura, means the old man in our house. Literally, when we translate it, he could never say my father. Even now, he is very old. When he speaks about his father, he would never say. He would very seldom speak about his father, of course. But whenever he spoke, he would only refer to him as the old man in my house. I think that would break the heart of the parents. I think that would break. It would break my heart actually if my children say the old man in my house. It will break. And yet they absorbed all of this. No? They took all of those and they gave everything that they had. They sacrificed. Many of them must have prayed silently while you were sick, while I was sick. Many of them must have stayed whole night to care for us when we had fever, when we had different kinds of sicknesses. Many of them. Many of the fathers must have overgone their needs to provide for us, to provide for you, to provide for me. Many of them must have overgone. So we must honor them, and we ought to also care for our parents in their old age. We ought to give them our personal care as far as possible, but at least we ought to be concerned for them. Parents may be imperfect. They are imperfect. They are human beings after all. But honor is even then due to them. We should honor them. Now for the last term, and ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. When we say fathers, when we talk about the Roman family, the fathers had an absolute right. They had an absolute right. And the right was almost to the tune of, or like the property rights. They could sell, they could discipline, they could disown their children. They could disown their children. So it was almost like that. And Paul is writing to them. Even though we may be living in that very harsh society, a society that is so harsh towards children, yet we can show godly love, we can show godly caring, godly tenderness, even in that kind of environment. And that we are hearing today. And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath. And I would like to include here, not just fathers, but mothers, sisters, brothers, and anyone who is in a responsible position. Let us not provoke them. Provoke them. Authority may come from different kinds. It may come from age, from position, or from power. It may come. And God has given us that authority, no doubt. And correction is also necessary for our children because they are in the learning stage. They would be learning from making mistakes. Discipline also is necessary for our children because they ought to be disciplined. They ought to train them. We ought to train them. But love is also important when we discipline them, when we correct them. Because only discipline would make them their heart hard, without love. Just discipline. And only correcting them without the heart, without our love, would make them hard in their hearts. It will make them rebellious. It will make them rebellious. So correction along with discipline, along with love, is much necessary. And that's why Paul also is telling us that, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. Of the Lord. Nurture and admonition of the Lord. The nurturing, caring, or training, caring for them or training for them. And caring for them would really happen when we have relationships. When we have the relationship. When we really have the care for them, we build a relationship, and the relationship will be stronger with that caring nature. So we are not to discourage them. We are not to easily or constantly discourage them by saying harsh words, by saying difficult words for them, by saying things by which we demean them, by which they are pained. We ought to keep love and that balanced. We have to keep that balanced. We should not exasperate them. That is what provoke and the word exasperate says. Constantly discourage them so that it will lead up to growth of bitterness in their heart. That bitterness in their heart. My father always hates me. My mother always stops me. That always should not be there. Even though we need to stop them. We need to stop them. We need to correct them. We need to discipline them. So when we say discipline them, it should not be a domination, but a nurturing. What is nurturing? To provide enough water, to provide enough nutrient, to provide enough shade, to provide enough care and protection. Not more, not beyond what they require. That is why I think it is called accountability with power. We may have power over our children, but we are also accountable to God. Sometimes this cycle may go on. Maybe we have had a bad parent. Maybe we have had a bad experience with someone. But I think it is time for us in this generation, or whoever has come to know the Lord and has come to get the teaching, that we ought to nurture them, to break that cycle. Because I have learned from my father to be beating, to be disciplining, or to with anger or with harshness. I should not continue that with my children. Let the cycle break down now. Let it break down now. And bring up a new cycle that is a godly cycle of discipline, godly cycle of nurture, a godly cycle of nurture. And then there is the word admonition, the word nuthesia or admonition. That is verbal instruction and counsel directed to the heart, that says. Children are young and small and they're tender, and yet they also have heart. They also have response. They also have feelings. They also have feelings. So when we say that we ought to admonish them in the Lord, we ought also to give them instructions and teachings that is directed to the heart, to their heart. We should be doing it so that it touches their heart. We know for the children it is very, it should be to their age or to their understanding. To their understanding. We have to bring it down to the level of the children to make them understand. And many times they will not understand because they are preoccupied with something that is already there in their heart. They want something, they would continue to want that. Children are there. But we ought to bring them and try and attempt to bring it down to their level so that we can strike the heart actually, and not just their behavior. It is the heart that should be our target, not just their behavior. And that's what God says, and Paul says to us that, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. And in everything, Paul says, children, obey your parents in the Lord. In the Lord. And finally also he said that bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. So Christ is at the center of every of our doing here, every of our activities here. Christ is at the center, and it must be Christ that is the foundation of our discipline. It must be Christ. Let's read Luke 2 verse 51 for the children. Luke chapter 2 verse 51 says, "And he went down with them and came to Nazareth and was subject unto them." He was subject unto them. So children, just as you love Jesus, you want to follow Jesus, you want Jesus, we also ought to follow and obey and do what Jesus did. He went down with his parents, obeyed his parents, and was subject unto them. He obeyed them. He obeyed them. He obeyed his parents. He did all that his parents said to them. So it is just and it is right and it is wise for us to obey our parents. To obey our parents just as Jesus Christ also did. So today, even as we have read Ephesians chapter 6 verse 1 to 4, for children, it would be wise for us to repeat this and to learn this and to keep it in memory. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. May God bless each and every children here, and also all of us as parents.